Hey everybody, Slough here with a quick demonstration of the iLok License Manager version 2.6, which is the first version to be accessible to blind users. Yay! And this is not a replacement, a substitute of any sort for the manual. If you haven't already done so, go to ilok.com and download the user manual and read it. Because anything you need to know is in there, and everything will apply, perhaps with the exception of drag and drop, which blind users won't do. But as with most programs, anything that you really need to do can be accomplished with more than one way. And so a blind user can use the iLok License Manager with keyboard shortcuts, the tab key, and arrow keys, and that's it. Pace has gone through a lot of trouble to make the user experience very smooth and very simple. If you try to navigate the iLok License Manager with sort of traditional means, like say for example with VoiceOver on the Mac, to use the Control and Option and arrow keys, you can get around to some degree, but some things are going to be a little bit strange. Now this is a cross-platform application. It's written in the Qt environment. And some people will know that programs written in that environment can be just a little bit quirky, a little bit wonky sort of to use. But again, as I said, Pace has gone through a lot of trouble to make the user experience really smooth if you use keyboard shortcuts and the tab key and the arrow keys. So currently, I'm going to be demonstrating the Mac version of the program. The Windows version at time of shipping is not exactly where the Mac version is in terms of accessibility. I think there still remains a little bit of work to be done on that platform, but I'm sure that in a subsequent release they'll address those issues. But for now, this will be just on the Macintosh. Okay, so I'm going to assume a few things. I'm going to assume that you've already gone to ilok.com to create a user account, and that you know your password, and that you have an iLok key. Now, different users are going to be at different points. There are going to be some new users listening to this, and there are going to be some users who already have their account set up, and they might have already run the iLok License Manager with sighted assistance. But I'm going to try to cover it sort of a little bit from both perspectives. But assuming you've gone to ilok.com and have created a user account, have a password, have an iLok, what you're going to have to do is, of course, install the iLok License Manager. If you the installer is very standard. It's just the typical kind of installer you'd see on a Macintosh. Just go through all of the sort of default continue buttons, etc., etc. If you already have a version of the iLok License Manager installed on your system, it's probably a good idea to remove the old one. Now, in the disk image of the iLok License Manager, there is an uninstall app, and really all you have to do is run that program, and it'll prompt you for your computer's password, your account password. You hit return, and in 2 seconds or 3 seconds, you'll get an indication that the uninstall was successful, and just hit return. And so, okay, if you've uninstalled and you've gone through the installation process, you're ready to launch the iLok License Manager.
Open. iLok License Manager. iLok License Manager. Window. Image.
Okay, so if you've already used the iLok License Manager and you've checked the box to remember your username and password, all you have to do at this point is just hit return, and you'll just be entered right into your account. For those who are doing this for the first time, you can enter your username here first, and then hit tab and enter your password. And you can check the box to remember your username and password, and then hit OK. I'll just tab through here. Actually, I'm going to force this dialog to open because I already have my information here, I believe. But just for what it's worth, I'll try to.
All licenses. Account B Sharp. Account B Sharp has 52 licenses.
Yeah, I'm already logged in. Let me log out for a second.
File menu. Sign out.
Here, sign out. Okay, so I'm signed out, and so let me get into that dialog just to show you what it would be like if you were.
All licenses. All license. Interact with dialog. For window. iLog License Manager. Sign in text. Sign in text. Enter your user ID and password. Then click sign in to continue. Text. User ID. Text. Password. Text. Do not check if you are on a public machine. Text. Space click this link if you forgot your password or user ID. Space click this link to create a new account.
Okay, so if I tab through some of these things.
Enter your ilok.com account password. Edit text.
Yeah, I was already on the username field here.
Enter your ilok.com user
Just shift tab back. Or I'm going to enter my username.
B sharp.
B sharp is the user account there.
Enter your ilok.com account password. Edit text.
I just hit tab and I'm in the password field. The password field will not give you the sort of clicking feedback that you might be used to, but it won't speak the what you're entering.
Remember user ID and password on this machine. Uncheck checkbox. Check. Remember you.
I'm gonna check that. I could either hit tab or in this case I could use Control Option right arrow.
Do not check if you are on a public machine. Cancel button. Sign in button.
Okay.
Triggers the action. All licenses for the account B sharp has 52 licenses.
Okay, so I'm logged in, and I could see that this account has 52 licenses, and let's say, for example, now those of you who have who have logged in before and you have an iLok present, you can sort of just go right to that iLok if you'd like, and just browse through the contents of that iLok. Let me connect. Let me see. Let me connect an iLok that's already registered to this account, and then I will show you how to sort of take a look at it and browse the contents of the iLok. So I'm about to plug in this iLok.
Hardware growler. USB connection. iLok.
Okay, so there are a few keys, keystrokes, keyboard shortcuts they're in the menus. You can read them, but I'll just tell you they're essentially Command 1 through 6 and Command L. Now Command L is the local locations shortcut, and locations are your iLoks or your computer if you have licenses that can be activated to a computer, and so Command L will focus the screen reader right on that list. So I'm going to hit Command L.
Local locations view.
Okay, I'm going to hit down arrow.
You have selected Slough Allison's MacBook Pro having 0 activations. This is your host machine group.
Okay, and so you'll get a bunch of information when you hit down arrow about each iLok, whether it's connected, whether it's registered to this particular account or not, etc. So we hit the down arrow again.
You have selected B sharp iLok with serial number 00178559 having 42 activations. This connected iLok is registered to currently signed an account.
Okay, so now let's say I want to see what licenses are on that iLok. Okay, I would use Command 6, and this is the licenses view, I believe it's called. Let me see, VoiceOver will speak it.
Licenses view, licenses on location B sharp iLok group.
There you go. So it's licenses view, Command 6. I'm just going to hit down arrow.
BF Mugger Folder Bundle V4 license is selected. BF Paltech Bundle V4 license is selected. BF Vos Bundle V4 license is selected. Bomb Factory BF3A license is selected.
I'm just going down this list.
DeFi license is selected. Focusrite T2T3 license is selected. Hybrid license is selected. Ivory AI American, Ivory AI Grand Piano, Ivory AI Uprights, Isotope.
So you can go through this list, and I believe first letter navigation will also work in this case. You don't get instant feedback that it's working, but it does work. Like, let's say, for example, I want to go to the end of this list. I'm sure that I have something in the letter V, so I just hit V.
Velvet license is selected.
All right, so like Velvet,
Vacuum Pro license is
Vacuum
selected.
Pro, etc. If I hit B again, let's say, I'm at the top.
BF Mugger Folder Bundle V. BF Paltech.
Yeah, so that does work, although you might have to use up and down arrows just to make sure you're on the right thing. Okay, so that's if you want to see a particular location, an iLok, or your computer if you have licenses on it, and you can go through this list, Command 6, okay? Now, you know what, before we go any further, let's see what the process is like to register an iLok to an account. Let's say you're just starting out and you have no licenses activated to an iLok. You haven't even plugged in the iLok to register it to your account. Let's go through that process, and it's very simple. It's super fast and painless. I'm just going to insert an iLok that is not registered to this account. Let's see what happens.
Hardware growler. USB connection. Licenses on location B sharp iLok. Space the iLok with serial number 0010E5FC is not registered. Would you like to register this iLok to your account?
Okay, I'm just going to hit return.
Licenses on location B# iLock.
because the default is yes or okay or whatever, something like that. If you don't want to, you just
Licenses on
hit
location
cancel.
B# iLock.
Okay, so I'm going to hit Command L to get into that local locations column again. So Command L.
Local locations view. You have selected B# iLock with serial number 00178.
Okay, so there's the iLock that I had inserted before.
You have selected iLock 1 with serial number 0010E5FC having 0 activations. This connected iLock is registered to currently signed an account.
Okay, so that's the iLock. It'll default to like iLock 1. If you have more than one, it'll say iLock 2, iLock 3, etc. You can rename these. You know what? What the hell? Let's just do that right now. Come on. All right. We're gonna get some details on this iLock. We're gonna hit Command I.
Show details. You
Okay.
have selected iLock.
And again, these shortcuts, they're all in the menus. I'm gonna hit Tab.
Licenses on location iLock 1 group. Hide details button. iLock 1 text. Serial number 001085FC to antigen. Remove iLock from your account button. Rename/edit button.
Okay, rename/edit. I'm gonna hit that.
Triggers the action. Interact with dialog. For window, iLock license manager. Edit iLock information text. Edit iLock information text. Name text. Description text.
Let's call this new iLock. How inventive, huh?
New
iLock. All right.
iLock.
And if you tab,
Enter the description for the iLock. Edit text.
you could enter a description here. If you hit tab here, you're going to get tabs in the comments field. So in a case like this, it probably is a good idea to either tab backwards or just use your normal like Control Option,
Cancel button. OK button.
navigation
Triggers the action. OK button. Rename/edit
to
button.
get out of there. All right. So now,
Hide details. Redeem and activation.
okay. So now I'm going to go back to that list.
Local location view. You have selected new iLock with serial number 0010.
Oh, there it is. So now it's renamed. Okay. Now I want to activate a couple of licenses to this iLock. Now, the keys, the shortcut keys that I mentioned before, they were kind of like 1 through 6 and then Command L. The Command 1 shortcut will take you to sort of all licenses for the account, whether they are just sort of not activated to a location or whether they are activated to a particular iLock or a different iLock. It doesn't matter. It's just all of your licenses. Okay, that's Command 1.
All licenses for the account group.
Okay, I'm just going to use down arrow.
Access virus license is selected.
Okay.
Auto-Tune native license is selected. BF Classic Compressors V4 license is selected. BF Fairchild Bundle V4 license is selected. BF Mugger Folder Bundle V4 license is selected.
Okay, so these are just licenses that are in my account. Again, whether they are activated or not, I can find out by getting details with the Command I, okay? I'm not going to do that yet because I want to get through these other columns or these other views. Let's go to Command 2, which is all available licenses.
All licenses that can be activated for the account.
They're all licenses that can be activated. Okay, so these are licenses that are available to put onto an iLock, okay?
Access virus license is selected.
Okay.
Auto-Tune native license is selected. BF Classic Compressors V. BF Fairchild Bundle V. BF Mugger Folder Bundle V4 hybrid license is selected.
Let's just move on for a couple of other shortcuts. Command 3,
All activations for the account.
all activations. This would be licenses that already have been activated. So it's kind of the opposite of what Command 2 was, licenses available for activation, because Command 3 are the licenses that have been activated. I'm going to hit down arrow.
BF Mugger Folder Bundle V4 Lite. BF Caltech Bundle V4. BF Rose Bundle V4.
So
Factory.
these are already on a particular iLock. Again, if I wanted to find out where, I can hit Command I and get those details. And again, I'll demonstrate that shortly. I forgot what Command 4 is.
All licenses that cannot be activated for the account.
Oh, licenses that cannot be activated. Maybe you have sort of expired licenses or stuff like that. You'd find them by choosing Command 4. Command 5,
All hidden licenses for the account.
hidden licenses. Okay, so if you do have licenses that have expired, not for resale licenses, stuff like that, you can't necessarily delete them from an iLock, but instead of having them show up in your lists, you can choose to hide them so that they're just out of the way. And if you need to, you can show them if you want. And I believe the toggle is like if you have a license selected, you want to hide it, you would press Command Shift S, right? I think that's it. Again, it's in the menu structure. It's like to toggle. It's show. It's like show is Command S and Command Shift S is to hide, or vice versa. you'll figure it out. It's very easy, but it might not be so easy to remember, obviously. Okay, so let's activate a license or 2 or 3 to this new iLok. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the available licenses, Command 2.
All licenses that can be activated for the account.
Okay.
Access virus license is selected.
Access virus. Let's activate that. Command Shift A to activate.
Activate. Select an activation location. You have selected access virus to activate. An activation location has been selected. You have selected B# iLok with serial number 0017859.
So that's the iLok that happens to be alphabetically, there and connected, but I'm going to change that location right now. I'm going to hit Tab.
Review licenses selected for activation. Use up and down arrows to navigate the list group.
Okay, I don't need to check out that list. I know what I'm activating.
You have selected B# iLok with serial number 0017859.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt sometimes because it's just too verbose for demonstration purposes right now. I'm going to hit down arrow.
You have selected new iLok with serial number 0.
There you go. So now I've selected new iLok. I'm going to hit Tab.
Cancel button. Activate button.
Activate.
Triggers the action. All licenses that can be activated for the account group.
Okay, take a second.
Successful activation text. One license successfully activated. Text.
Okay, so I'm going to just hit return as it's the default.
All licenses that can be activated for the account group.
Okay. We could do this. We don't have to do this one license at a time. Let's do...
BF Classic Compressor. BF Fairchild Bundle
let me
V4
see.
licenses. BF Auto-Tune 8 native licenses selected.
Let's do 3 licenses here.
Multiple licenses are selected.
Okay, I'm just using Shift down arrow.
Multiple licenses are selected.
Okay, so I'm going to select 3 more licenses. I'm going to hit Command Shift A.
Activate. Select an activation location. You have selected multiple licenses to activate. An activation location has been selected. You have selected B# iLok with serial.
All right, let me just hit Tab again.
Review licenses selected for activation. You have selected B# iLok with serial. You have selected new iLok with serial number 00105FC. This connected iLok is registered to currently signed an account. You can activate through an iLok. An iLok can be plugged in at any time. Group.
Okay, I'm going to hit Tab.
Activate button. Review licenses selected for activation. Activate button.
There we go.
Triggers the action. All licenses that can be activated for the account group.
Okay, I'll take a second. It's moving 3 licenses, so it takes a little bit longer.
Operation in progress.
Oh, there we go. Operation in progress. I was just using the control option right arrow to navigate that, so it told me the operation is still in progress.
Successful activation text. 3 licenses successfully activated. Text.
Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to hit return.
All activations.
Okay, so now let's go to locations just to take a look at that iLok. Command
All
L.
activations. Local location view. You have selected Slough Allerton's MacBook Pro having 0 activate. You have selected B# iLok. You have selected new iLok with serial number 00105FC having 4 activations.
There we go. So we have 4 activations. To see those, go Command 6, like I said before.
Licenses view. Licenses.
I'm just going to hit down arrow.
Access virus license is selected. Auto-Tune 8 native licenses. BF Classic Compressors V4. BF Fairchild Bundle V4 license is selected.
Okay, so these are the licenses we transferred. Let's see what would happen if we wanted to deactivate one of these licenses. I mean, the process is really very much the same. I'm going to deactivate this one with Command Shift D.
Deactivate. Interact with dialog. For window. iLok license manager. Confirm deactivation text. Confirm deactivation text.
All right. Here, I'm interrupting it. I mean, all you really have to do is just say, to hit return. I mean,
licenses on location iLok group.
It's just very simple.
Successful deactivation text. 1 license successfully deactivated.
Okay. So I'm just going to interrupt that. I'm going to hit return.
Licenses on location iLok group.
Let's deactivate another one. Let's go.
Local location view. You have selected new iLok with serial number.
All right, let's go.
Licenses view. Licenses on location iLok group. Access virus license. Auto-Tune 8 native. BF Classic Compressors V4 licenses.
Let's deactivate this one.
Deactivate. Confirm deactivation text. You are about to deactivate 1 license. Would you like to continue? Text. Pressing OK will move the license usage rights back to the license owner's account. Text.
There you go. I'm going to hit return.
Licenses on location iLok group.
I should get a confirmation again.
Successful deactivation text. 1 license successfully deactivated. Text.
Okay. I'm going to hit return.
Licenses on location iLok group.
Okay, so let's say, for example, instead of deactivating back to the account, I just wanted to move licenses from one iLok to another, okay? I could simply select the licenses. Here, let me select...
Access virus license is selected.
I'm going to select multiple...
Multiple licenses are selected.
Just with Shift down arrow. And I'm going to use the activate command, Command Shift A.
Activate. Licenses on location iLok. Interact with dialog. For window iLok license manager. Select an activation location. You have selected multiple licenses to activate. An activation location has been selected. You have selected B# iLok with serial number 0017859.
Okay, well that happens to be the location that I want to move to, so I could just hit return.
Licenses on location iLok group.
And this will take a few seconds as well. And of course, don't remove your iLocks during this process because things will probably go very wrong. You want to make sure that you don't sort of remove your iLocks in the process of activating or deactivating or moving licenses, etc. Be patient.
Successful move. Text. 2 licenses successfully deactivated and then activated. Text. Text.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to hit return.
Licenses on location UI.
Okay, so yeah, and just looking at these locations again, Command L.
Local location view. You have selected new iLock with serial number 0010E5FC having 0 activations.
Yeah, so those activations are gone from there, and they were put on the B# iLock. Okay, let's go to the all licenses list, Command 1.
All licenses for the account.
I'm just going to hit down arrow.
Access virus licenses select auto-tune 8 native license BF classic compressors BF Fairchild bundle V4 BF Mugger Folder bundle V4 BF Mugger Folder bundle V4 license.
Okay, so I have 2 Bomb Factory Mogerfoger bundles, okay? And now I would like to know where these are. I mean, because this is not necessarily a list of activated licenses. This is just a list of all licenses. And so I'm going to go to the upper one.
BF Mugger Folder bundle V4 license.
The first one in the list. I'm going to hit Command I.
Show details. License group.
I'm just going to hit down arrow.
Status active. Type license. Subtype product. Expiration date. Activate by date. Deposit date 11/05/1505. Activation 0 and 1 activations used.
Okay, so 0 of 1 activations used.
Activation locations.
Now, if I just hit up and down arrow here, I'm just going to be going back and forth between these detail sort of
Activation 0. Deposit date 11/05/1505.
you know, these fields that are the detail views. Now, to just go back to the list, I would use the Command 6. Okay, Command.
Licenses view. All licenses for the account group.
So now I'm back into just the list of licenses. Okay, so if you're looking at an iLock, you go to Command 6, you're going to be going through the licenses on that iLock location. If you're looking at all licenses and you go to Command 6, you're going to be just in the list of all of the licenses. So Command 6 is sort of a generic sort of list that sort of, depending on what area you're in, is going to have different information. So now let me hit down arrow.
BF Mugger Folder bundle V4 license.
That's the next Bomb Factory Mogerfoger. I'm going to hit Command I to get to the details.
Show details. License group.
I'm going to hit down arrow.
Status active. Type license. Subtype product. Expiration date. Activate by date. Deposit date 11/05/1505. Activations 1 of 1 activations used.
All right, so 1 of 1 activations is used. I'm going to go down one more time.
Activation locations B# iLock 001785.
Okay, so it tells me that one of these activations, I apparently have 2. One of them has not been activated to any location, and the second one, according to the details, says that there's a copy on the B# iLock. So that's pretty much it. Again, Command 1 through 6, those keyboard shortcuts are your friends. Command L, certainly. And just tab and up, down arrows. I mean, that's all you really need to navigate to do anything you want to do in the iLock License Manager. And that's about it. I mean, that's as easy as it gets, really. The one area... Well, let me show you 2 tips, by the way. Okay, so... well, 1 tip and then 1 bit of information, which I sort of alluded to earlier. Let's say, and this happened to me, certainly... let's say you're in a list and somehow, I mean, you've been mousing around as I have, clicking willy-nilly as I have, and let's say your list ends up being sort of not in descending alphabetical order, or is it ascending? I never get that straight. Again, one of those, it could either be this way or that way. But let's say it's not A at the top, it's like V at the top, and sort of it goes backwards. That certainly happened to me. I just want to show you how to fix that. Let's go to List, Command 6.
Licenses view. All licenses for the account group.
Okay, I'm going to hit down arrow.
BF Paltech bundle V4
Okay,
licenses.
so I'm at the first license in this list. I'm going to interact with this, okay?
Interact with all licenses for the account group. 24 items. Product name. Empty column.
Okay, so product name, empty column. I'm going to route the mouse pointer to that. Control, Option, Command, F5.
Enter NightLock License Manager standard window.
Okay, and I'm just going to hit the, I'm on the laptop, so the trackpad. Okay, I'm going to stop interacting with
Stop
it.
interacting with all BF Mugger Folder, BF Paltech, BF Vos bundle V4
So now
licenses.
I'm arrowing
Bomb
upwards.
Factory BF DeFi license. Focus My T2.
So you
hybrid
see,
licenses.
alphabetically we're going up.
hybrid license is selected.
As we reach the top of the list, of course there are a bunch of licenses here.
Vacuum Velvet license is selected.
Okay, so at the top of the list, Velvet is there. So right now it's in reverse alphabetical order. Let's say you find yourself in this situation. Interact.
Interact with all licenses for the account group. 21 items. Product name. Empty column.
Okay. My mouse pointer's still probably routed there, but just in case. Control Option, Command F5.
Product name. Empty column.
I'm going to click once. Stop interacting.
Stop interacting with all.
And now Velvet
Vacuum Velvet license is
is
selected.
at the bottom. So I'm hitting up arrow now. Or I could just hit A really here. A.
Auto to access virus license.
See, now I'm at the top of the list. So in case you find yourself in a situation where your alphabetical listing is reversed, move to the top of that list, interact with it, move the mouse pointer, click once, and stop interacting, and the table will be reversed. And the other thing I was just going to say, that part that is not yet accessible is in the transfer process. If you're transferring to another account, there are a couple of pop-up buttons that just don't work the way you'd expect. Now, this is sort of a hint, but I haven't worked it out yet in this version to reliably do this. But if, say, you pop up in a credit card field, you pop up the month pop-up button, say, you won't get any feedback right now about what is selected, what's not selected, and you can't just simply hit up and down arrows. What you can do is, if you use something like Move Mouse or Keyboard Maestro, you can move the pointer a little bit to the right and a little bit down, and if you have VoiceOver speaking the contents underneath the mouse, you will be able to hear January 1, February 2, March 3, etc., etc. And you can perform a mouse click, and you could probably, maybe, possibly get through that, but without real verification, I'd say it's probably not worth it. If you are transferring licenses, then for goodness sake, just get some sighted assistance for the credit card field. Most people don't get they don't need to necessarily transfer licenses, but I'm sure that again, in some subsequent release, that field or those fields will be fixed. And aside from that, that's about it. And this is very exciting. And again, on the Windows side of things, I'm sure it'll catch up to the Mac as well on subsequent releases. And for now, you might have luck just with the same kind of keyboard shortcuts that I was mentioning. Of course, on the Windows side of things, it's not going to be Command 1. It probably could be Control 1 or something like that. I haven't used the Windows version, but it's probably something along those lines, and probably Tab and arrow keys will get you pretty far. One last thing is that there's another separate application called, I think it's called the Activation Experience Wizard, which is a separate application also written in Qt, which is cross-platform, so this applies for Mac and Windows. If you're running a DAW, let's say, and you are missing a plugin, the Activation Experience Wizard will come up and say, hey, do you want to activate a license? Do you have this license, and do you want to activate it, etc.? And the process is very much the same, very smooth. All you have to do is like hit Tab and up and down arrow keys, and go to the OK button or Activate button, whatever. It's very much the same experience. On the Windows side of things, again, it's the same thing. That window is not totally smooth yet, but I'm sure it will be very soon. And I think that's about it. Okay, very exciting. Well, thanks so much, and have fun managing your iLocks. Okay, see ya.